Well, hello, and welcome back. I probably need to adjust my mic volume again because reasons. Okay, mic volume is up. Mic sound is up here. Okay, so those look good. And then output, external headphones. Let's see what I need to do there. MacBook Pro speaker. It's okay. And then let's turn this down a notch. There we go. So I'm not quite so over brightened. All right. We're into the funnest of the fun parts on this. So it's good times all around, hopefully, for everybody. Why will it not let me make this window smaller? And why won't it scroll? I want my browser to have a feature to override responsiveness and override scroll settings. Give me a scroll bar, don't make it responsive. I just hate it. I just hate the websites. They suck. They all suck. All websites suck. There, I said it. We all know it was true. Now it's even not any more true. It's just as true as it ever was. Okay. Let's get Mario in the frame there. My boy Mario. Okay. I've seen the movie twice. How about you? What are you up to? Okay. Yeah, we're going to make transactions. We're going to make them happen. Pretty excited about it. So excited that I'm going to pop a top, my friends. I'm going to pull out a nice cold Mountain Dew. Crackety crackety. And let's open focus. Gotta find the right distance here so I can lean in to look at something. But not cut off my nose. Maybe. But then not, I don't know, whatever. All right, we'll just go for it. So where did I leave things off? I left them off in a good place. I remember that much. I think the question it was basically how to consider the change amounts versus other amounts, kind of how to map those, if we can annotate them in some way. I think that was my main concern, is can we annotate the outputs to be able to describe what the outputs belong to. And I might just want to do that across the board. Because here I'm going to have different values. I don't know. I think that's not the way to go about it. That's going to be too complicated. The way to go about it is just going to be to loop through and figure out what the originals were and deal with it. So, denominate self-pay coins. I think the answer is going to be leave this null. And then, so let's just put this other one back here for funsies. So we'll just comment this one out. And then we can comment this out. And then we can do change denom info dot denoms equals. I mean, really, it seems like we should just change the way this function works. Okay, I think that's the thing to do. And then up at the higher level, we will redistribute again. Because I think we should know what the ideal is before we even do the coin selection. I could be wrong about that. Maybe it shouldn't be Satoshis. Maybe it should be Zen coins. let's see here. And this should be, we're going to take that value and I got to think about this one. Let's see. Let's make a copy of this. Call this change coins. And then we'll do output change denom info like that. I do need some sort of marker to delineate what these things belong to. Or maybe I don't. Let's see. Send val. Okay, send vals, don't like. Where did send vals come from? Did I bring it in? Send infos. Where did send info come from? So cache like select. Send info. Select coins. Yeah, I think we need to put in this ahead of time. All right, I think this one needs to come up a layer. And we need to send that down. Can I get away without doing that right now? That's the question. Okay, what do I have over here? I kind of want to call this selection. Not used to, hey, Whimsical, what's up? Not used to seeing me at this hour. Yeah. Well, I'm on random times of the day. There's the only time of the day that I'm typically not on is between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. That would be a very unusual time for me to be on. But other than that, well, maybe 5 a.m. 5 a.m. is pretty rare. I get to 5 a.m. every once in a while. But yeah, so anywhere between after 4 a.m. and before 10 a.m., that's pretty rare to see. Oh, excuse me. But other than that, I don't keep a schedule, so some days I go to sleep earlier. Some days I go to sleep later. Yada, yada. I think this should be renamed selection. And this should be renamed inputs. Or maybe not inputs per se, but maybe this should be inputs and this should be coins. Or, you know, UTXOs. Ooh. That actually makes a lot of sense. Swappy doodling the name of this. I'm going to swappy doodle the name of inputs right now. Because that is going to be a huge safety concern if I decide to change the name of the other one. So we're going to do inputs. Select all inputs. It's kind of scary to change the name of something like that. Let's see. Maybe not select, but inputs use all. And then we have another selection. And then cache like select would become maybe inputs match outputs. Let's see. I don't know what the right term to describe this would be, but pair inputs to outputs. Let's see how that goes. And then I'll catch up on comments in just a second. Let's see, inputs use all. I kind of want to just rename this to use all inputs. Consume all inputs. Okay, and then the other one, I don't know what to call it. We'll just leave it the same for now. All right, so yeah, because I think we need to distinguish between UTXO, which is a more generic term, and inputs, which is a more specific term, because we do need a more generic UTXO selection as well. So this is correct. Create TX out of the inputs. Oh, this is kind of wrong, because this is saying, so this one, that create TX, probably should be UTXOs. Because it's going to select a subset. So they are not inputs. They are potential inputs, which makes them UTXOs. So I'm going to do a little bike shedding right now. Okay. Inputs. Okay. Term, meaning and this would be selected UTXOs that will be used for the transaction. And then UTXOs would be available that could, we'll go with unspent outputs that are available, let's call it unspent coins, to be selected as inputs. And then we got to get the term coins. So this one we don't know yet. Outputs. So we need a term to describe Okay, so I don't know what all of the terms need to be, but we definitely need to have a consistent use of these terms so that we don't get confused. All right, let me check it out over here. Not used to seeing me at this hour writing something other than Go. Well, I don't write Go as much as I write Node. You'll clear your calendar between 10 a.m. and 6 a.m. That's great, yeah. Do you know what your key refresh rate is? It is higher than the default. So in the settings, it will show up as max, but I think it's actually higher than that. Let's see if we go into keyboard. Right. Key rate, keyboard sensitivity. So it shows it as fastest as possible and shortest delay, but I think that it's actually faster than that and might be shorter than that because I set it possibly from the command line. Let me see. Better touch tool might be where the key repeat rate is set. I don't see it set in here. I may have set it on the command line. So let me just see if it's in my history. Rate. Let's look for key rate. What's the Mac OS CLI set key repeat rate? Okay, default write. Key repeat. It's set to 2. And 15. Yes, I am on Dvorak. Oops. That was... Okay, I'm going to try both of these one more time. So for me, that was 2. And this was 15. And I don't know what I'm using Better Snap Tool for, or Better Touch Tool for, anymore. Because there was kind of a cat and mouse game between... I use it for this. I use it so that when I hit Control, Shift, Escape, that it locks the screen. Let's see. I wasn't able to get the hyperkey thing working. I spent a couple hours trying to figure out how to work hyperkeys, and it never came to fruition for me. But this one, I think that this one's not necessary anymore either, because I think that now there's a way to set this in macOS shortcuts, but there was some reason, something like shift and escape don't work together, or I don't remember what it was, but I think that now, if I were to do this again today, I think that I would use a built-in macOS shortcut, and it might be a different key, because it might be that you're not allowed to hit Control and Escape at the same time, or there's something about this combination that didn't work, but I think it works now. And then eject, I don't have eject anymore, and if I press with the wrong finger, the Touch ID button with the wrong finger, it locks the screen. So actually, if I was going to do this again today, I've got the muscle memory of doing Control Shift Escape, but I think that I'm just going to delete this one, because there's no need for it anymore. Can I delete it? Delete it. Oh, maybe, can I undo that? Oh, good, I can. Can I just disable? Enable, disable. There we go, disable, and then disable. Whoops, that's not what I want to do. Okay, so I think that I may have just about no reason to use Better Touch Tool anymore. I'm not sure what it does for me at this point, but I do know that Carabiner, let me bring that up. Uh-oh. What did I do? Now my keyboard stopped working. Let me just quit Better Touch Tool. Okay, now my keyboard's working again. And then Carabiner Elements. I've got this set up. And simple modifications. All right, something's missing, because I also have the arrow keys set up. Maybe that's what's set up in Better Touch Tool. Let me see if my arrow keys work right now. I don't think they will. No, it appears my arrow keys are working. So that must be set up complex modifications. There we go, right here. Left shift plus command to HTCL to arrow keys. So that is what I've got going on. So it looks like I could I'm actually going to disable Better Touch Tool from startup items and see if I notice a difference, because I don't think I'm using it for anything anymore. I think everything I was using it for either is now easy to configure in Carabiner Elements or is available to configure in macOS directly. Let's see. Login options. Where are my startup items? Login items. Better Snap Tool I still want, but we can remove this. Pew! All right. Okay, well, I may be done with Better Touch Tool then. But it was a real game of cat and mouse between macOS and... Okay, good, now it's focusing on me. And Carabiner and Better Touch Tool, and there was two Carabiners. One of them was for the newer Macs, and one of them was for the older Macs, and the older one I don't think works anymore at all. Do I want to check out something silly you made a while ago? Yeah, well, I don't know, but go ahead and paste it and I'll take a look. And then I'll decide if I want to look at it further. Okay, so with this being inputs, let's see, wallet.denominate. I don't create dirty TX. There we go. This is the one I need to look at. All right, so this needs to be changed to UTXOs. So this would be deprecated. Wait. Okay, the question is whether or not to force using these, because I can say, here are the ones that I would like to use. All right, so this takes us back to the bike shedding, wherever that was. Okay. What do we call the user defined selection, aka coin control, of coins that may be used but not must be used? Is inputs okay? You know, we just need to get around to. I'm getting a little bit sidetracked, which in a way is a good sidetrack because this is something that needs to be answered. But this is more. Maybe this should be called selection. Selected coins. And maybe this one should remain UTXOs then. Let's see. Let's see what happens if we do it this way. Okay. All right, what is this whining about? Okay. Okay, these denom infos are actually going to work, but I need to pair inputs to outputs. So this should have kind of a returns. Do we have the returns in here? Well, definitely we need to get rid of all this stuff. I don't want to get rid of that. Debug info.js. We're just going to paste that there for now so we don't get rid of it. And then, let's see. Change denom info equals denoms. Not sure what exactly to do about that right now, but that's okay. And we're going to pass in coins, and coins have denom info, but we need to have UTXO info in this. Let's see. All right, so this is Y Dvorak. You know, that looks so foreign to me. I have seen a Dvorak keyboard exactly once for 30 minutes. Maybe it was closer to an hour and a half. And that was the time that I learned the Dvorak keyboard. All I did to learn the Dvorak keyboard, to have it completely memorized, was take a keyboard that had keys, take all the keys off, put them in sequence as Dvorak, and then take the keys off again and put them back as QWERTY. And after that literally, that was it. That was how easy it was for Dvorak. Because to me, Dvorak just makes sense. It just having your common vowels, well, I guess almost all your vowels, they're your vowels. And then you have your common consonants, and then you have your secondary consonants, your punctuation, and then your tertiary consonants. And it just makes sense. What is this? Yeah. That's cool. Anyway, yeah. But if I could go back today, I probably wouldn't learn Dvorak. Because I think that ergonomics have improved so much on macOS that the benefit that I got out of Dvorak was really important. Let's see. forgot what I was saying. Okay. Okay, let me make sure I've got this. Let me do a get diff real quick to see how far I am away from what I was doing. So, selected coins, consume all, selected coins, pair inputs to outputs. Okay, so not that much different. So this is going to... Okay, and then this one takes in denom infos as an array. We can call them denom infos. So what is it griping about this selection for? Okay. This is an array of D, so that should not be a problem. And then this one also. Hold on one second. That was probably just my daughter playing with the doorbell. Hey, there's me. Hi, me. Okay. Denom info. And that's outputs, and the outputs don't necessarily need to be mapped to the inputs, so this should be fine. So when I look at coin selection, I should be able to see the type def is denom info, UTX coin info. This should be fine. Why is this upset? What is going on? Why is this griping at me? There's nothing wrong here. Everything is fine. Whatever. Moving on. All right, let me look at the message more carefully, just in case. Whoa! Whimsical. Thanks for the follow. Denom info is not assignable to UTX coin info type denom info is not assignable to UTX denom info is missing the following properties, core UTXO, blah, 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 blah. But why is that a problem? That's not what the outputs are here, right? And is it, hold on, let me get that again. What, the letter? What? Okay. Inputs are incompatible. All right, let's go look at inputs real quick. Okay. Inputs is coins. We've already established that coins is of the template type. Template type is D. DOM infos are the template type. So coins are going to be denom info. And denom info is of denom infos. Denom infos is what's passed in, right? Yeah, it's a slice of what's passed in. So that's guaranteed to be correct. And then what else? And then this denom info, what is this? This is still from that same array, is it not? Denom info of denom infos. Yes, that's correct. Ah! Free dash. Plox. Plokes. PL0X. I am not PL0X. I am the agitator. Okay, let me get back to a couple of comments here. I had an intro paragraph describing why I did it. I don't know when I got rid of it. Oh. Point was, I kept getting asked why I used it, so I made a website to argue my point. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty simple. It doesn't have to be a holy war, because you don't have to convince anybody to use it, right? It benefits you if you use it, and it benefits someone else if they want to use it. But if they don't want to use it, then they don't have to. But again, like I said, I think the ergonomics have gotten so good with Mac OS and Apple in general, just like the way the key presses feel, the way the trackpad works, the way the gestures work, etc., that if I could go back, I don't think I would do it again. Or maybe that's not the right way to say it. I don't think I would do it today if I was making the choice today. Yeah. The rest of us mortal folks had to learn to touch type slowly on. No, it took me a month to get back up to speed. Sorry, I didn't say that part. It took me a month. It took me a solid month to get back up to typing speed. But I knew where the letters were after pulling the keys apart, putting them on, pulling the keys apart, putting them on. With that exercise, that concentrated exercise, I knew where they were. And because much of your muscle memory is not the keys, it's the words. And the words took a long time to get right again. 3 charts with animation. I think those 3 things were mentioned in the Dvorak Zine I first read. Yeah. Okay. All right, so let me get back here. I'm going to ignore the fact that it... Let's see, select coins. Selected coins. Yeah, this is messed up. We're going to have to fix this. This is it. If nothing else, it's a better name. Okay, and this doesn't quite make sense either. Let me think about this. Because there's a subtle difference between selected coin and available coin, and maybe it needs to go up. But it's more like both of them are a coin pool, but one of them I guess this simple use case just needs to be removed. This one right here, this super simple use case, I think it does need to be removed. Because it's its own it's its own selection, and it belongs as a one-liner outside of this. So where is select coins being used? I think this is what needs to happen. That needs to go there. And then this goes here. But this is just fundamentally a different type of selection. Because it seems like there's too much confusion on what selected and available coins mean. And this would just be if not Satoshis, then throw new error 0.00. Can't send 0.00. Full transfer selection. Yeah, that's it. Okay, then what is this? What's different about this then? Is there any branching logic in here? Where's an if? If selected coins versus selected coins. So basically, this logic needs to move up and out. And then this is back to UTXOs, and it's not confusing anymore. So we just get rid of this, and then we're not confused by it. And then this can go here. And there could be some sort of meta selection that's more confusing, but the individual selections are not confusing. And then we don't touch the wallet here, which is good. Because this, again, this is supposed to be a candidate for the transaction library. This doesn't actually belong here. And this helps that be more true. But we do need a consume coins. What's another word? Like expire, not expire, but not extinguish. But something probably starts with an X. It's like we're using all the coins. We are using them to their full extent. We're voiding them. Where consume is kind of. Let me just check the thesaurus real quick. Hey, Dave. You are really strong on that Win Evo, huh? I'm not the Evo guy. I don't do the Evo stuff. I'm not an Evo fan. I think that it's a waste of time. I think that it is over-engineering a solution to a problem that doesn't exist, and that we could have much simpler solutions. I am kind of in camp competitor, essentially. So I'm not the guy to ask Win Evo. Because as far as I'm concerned, better never than ever. It's a complicated mess that's going to make things worse. It's not going to make things better. It's crypto nerds having a pipe dream rather than considering the real practical scenario of how people need to use money when they're not Edward Snowden. Not to say that you can't also use money like Edward Snowden. And that one's not even about using money. That one's about like this, that, and the other. It's all sorts of things. We just need a collection of servers. You post things to a bunch of servers. You have a way to verify the information is on the servers. And then you have a way to get the information back. And then if a server disappears, oh well, you lose the value of that server. It's fine. If the value is low enough because it's sustained by the network, then it's... Yes. What's up?
Just wanted to talk to you before you're gonna go.
Before I'm gonna go?
Yeah. To the meetup.
Oh. So it is the Rust meetup tonight. I might not go. But I'm definitely going to be working for another hour or so. I'm trying to get a transaction done.
I'm thinking about buying a lawnmower.
Whoa, watch out. Oh, hopefully his hands didn't get caught.
Well, if it did, he lost a hand. Booba!
He was running right after it, trying to get his hand in there. Hey, buddy.
Okay.
I love you so much, little boy. Come here. Come here. Hey, buddy. Hey.
Phone.
Yep. It's a phone.
See?
Yeah.
Come in.
Are you still streaming?
Yeah, I am.
Did you- oh.
I'm streaming right now.
Okay. Well, regular.
All right. What? Don't touch that. You little munchkin.
Hey guys, let's close the door. Hey, you want fingers?
All right. Okay, where are we at? I was looking. Thesaurus. Consume. Is there a word that's a little bit more third grader? Deplete, devour, drain, exhaust. That's the word I was looking for. Exhaust. Spend. We could just say spend all. Third grader words are better than fifth grader words. Alright, spend all coins. Fine. I don't like the word spend. Still, it's like... Because spend... Because you're transferring. You're not necessarily... It might be that you're spending, but you might not be. There's ways to move money that is not paying. You can transfer. Anyway, let's get back to constructing that transaction. Okay, select coins. Maybe... I don't even know if this is the right way to go about it. Use best coins, maybe? I don't know. I need to not get hung up on the name of that. I do want a better name, but I don't know what it should be. Okay, so one way or another, we're going to have a selection. Let's see. I just want to be careful. So there's a full transfer. And I want to create the transaction out of the selection. That's what I want to do. That's the next step here. Okay, so let me go back over here and get these things updated. All right, let's just bring this over. So where was coin list? So let's call this selected coins. Okay. I'll say account coins, but this should come later. Where was this at? Full transfer. So we're going to pull this over. To do renest. No worries, I'm just drilling everyone WinEvo. Good. So do you think that should just be used for payments, not data contracts or smart contracts? Here's the thing. Let me not get emotional about this. Let me back up a second. Digital cash. Digital cash. It needs to be like cash, but digital. It needs to have similar and advantages and disadvantages to cash, but digital. So there are some advantages of cash that you can't really get when something's digital. So we have to consider where we're at now and what the next steps could be to be more like digital cash. So we can accept some failings of digital systems that are unlike cash systems. Digital systems are easy for bad actors to monitor and forensically analyze for purposes that may be unsavory. Because sometimes good actors also want to pursue those activities. Sometimes that's looked down upon. But that in general is bad actors. Bad actors want to do that. Not in the general cases, bad actors want to do that. Not the general cases, good actors want to do that. What you do with your money is your business. Or should be your business. Shouldn't be everybody's business. Shouldn't be whoever decides that they have an interest in you, their business. But there's some amount of, dare I use the forbidden word, privacy that you just can't get online. It's just not going to happen. So that you sacrifice to some degree. But we don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We can still have cash-like sending that has some of those advantages. Now, there's some disadvantages that you don't have in a digital system, but you also need to not go overboard, otherwise they become disadvantages. So, for example, you can always make change whenever you want when it's a digital payment, because you just make numbers. You just make them up, and if they add up, it's fine. You don't have to have a resource that is specifically a specific change amount in order to make change. But the idea of change actually turns out to be really beneficial, which is why I'm working on this. The idea that you have denominations. Cash has denominations. That's not something that the digital world forces us out of. We're not forced to lose denominations of currency because something's digital. And the temptation to do so, we can see what that's led to with a further loss of privacy and enabling bad actors to easily fingerprint and analyze and trace transactions. So we don't need to give that up. But digital cash needs to be digital cash. That needs to be its number one focus. It needs to be easy. Cash does not have a fee. There's no fee to use cash. If I want to give you cash, I don't have a fee. In a digital currency, we don't need to have fees. Also, the value of cash is not based on who's pumping and dumping. The value of cash is based on the utility of that medium in a market. So you have to create the market that there has to be a market surrounding this thing, and there has to be an advantage of it, right? The reason that the US dollar is advantageous to me is that I live in the United States, where it is mandated that the dollar be accepted as currency. So it is ubiquitous. Ubiquity is not something that Dash, as digital cash, is going to achieve. So it needs to have another market value. And if you look at things, like I mentioned this before, but if you look at oil, oil is priced in the US dollar. Well, now it's also priced in the rupee, or rupee, or ruble? Ruble. Now it's also priced in the ruble. But before, traitorous people who ought to be hung for their treason started a war in order to give away the power of the United States, which perhaps it is not deserving of due to the traitorous people who are the people who have overtaken it and are doing traitorous things. But anyway, so the exports of a market define the value of its currency. There has to be exports, and the export can't be the currency. That is tautological. I can't say, here, use this because use this. After because has to be a reason, and it has to be a compelling reason. So digital cash needs to focus on having cash-like digital transactions. So we want to be maximalists on cash-like transactions, and then we need to do things that economically make sense, because things that economically make sense create markets. And if we do things that economically make sense and create markets, that the way to exchange in the market is Dash, then obviously people are going to want to use Dash to participate in that market. No fees, no security, absolutely wrong. That's absolutely wrong. So there is another problem, that fees, it's if you can't, it's scarce, fast, and cheap. That's why we use it. It can't be scarce and cheap, and it's faster than what? So there's an onboarding process, right? So it needs to be really fast. It needs to be fast. It needs to be as fast as cash. And again, with this wallet, that's one of the things that we're working on, is let's make it as fast as cash. You shouldn't have to download an app. You shouldn't. There should be a way that you can exchange with someone else, pretty quickly. But we need to rival cash. Cash is the target. Cash is the thing that we can possibly be better than. But the no fees, no security, the reason that we have fees is because there is a ledger that is excessively large, and it attracts bad actors. So we need to get rid of the things that would attract bad actors to a ledger. What could attract bad actors to a ledger? Free storage. So all you need to do is get rid of stuff. So, I mean, this is very, very simple. It's two things you need to do. One is, if you want long-term storage, you need to pay for it, or just host it yourself. Once money is spent, after some amount of time, the record of the money that it no longer exists needs to go away. It needs to get garbage collected. And this is not a problem at all, because all of the indexing is already done. We just need, every once in a while, we need the master nodes to essentially create a new hash value that's based on the garbage collected value. They already have the indexes. This isn't a big process. It shouldn't take a long time. But, say do that once a month for things that are a year old. or something like that, or whatever that ends up being in block size, right? So there's that, and then the other piece is that we need to have a fee for not moving money. So just like with a bank, if you make 0 transactions, your bank charges you a fee, something like $10 a month. If you make transactions, then you don't have a fee. And likewise, there needs to be a fee because you can't have billions of coins with any reasonable amount of value on them. But you can have trillions of coins with almost no value on them, just clogging up the pipes. And so there needs to be some sort of fee structure where essentially if you never move money, small amounts of money just get reabsorbed by the network. It becomes a network fee. So basically, a UTXO imposes a network fee. So a UTXO can only sit for so long and it needs to be transferred, or it imposes a network fee to keep it stored so that there's constantly storage. And this would increase the number of transactions that we have. So we'd have more transactions, just people moving money, which is also good again for the P word, right? Because then if money is moving often and it's not necessarily and it's denominated and it's not necessarily an indicator of whether or not it's a transaction, just money moves is part of money moving, just like you can set up automatic transfers in your bank account to avoid fees, just move money from one account to another account and then back again. You do that just to avoid fees. Same thing. You just have a live wallet that as long as you open it once or twice a year, everything's fine. But the money would move and tend towards larger sums of money so that the entire record cannot be larger than something like a billion. You wouldn't have more than 1 billion records because you wouldn't have more than 1 billion unspent transactions because the majority of your transactions are going to be something like 0.1 dash or 0.01 dash. And you're not going to have transactions that are 0.0001 dash. That just doesn't make any sense. Hold on a second. Okay.
Oh my gosh, you.
No, he was crying. So okay. He thinks that finger means open the door. Because he closed his door in the finger and we told him that he hurt his finger and now he thinks that finger means open the door, I guess. Okay, anyway. Bad actors equals security. I don't know what you mean. What the heck just happened? What was this called before it was called use all coins? Oh, that's over here. Right. All right, so this makes sense. Okay. No. I'm saying fees are implemented. Fees are implemented because the transactions are wrong. The fees are implemented to protect from bad actors. So basically, a security vulnerability was created. And rather than fixing the security vulnerability, the patch was, well, let's deter people from exploiting it. So it's like the door is wide open, but rather than put a bolt on the door, we're going to put a dog in the yard. And when it comes, do you hear him? Do you hear him saying finger, 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 finger? he wants me to open the door. Hold on. Hey, little boy. Come here. Finger. Hey, buddy. All right. Are you gonna help me program? Huh?
Heart.
Are you gonna help me program? Okay. So use all coins. Chicken fingers. All right. So we're going to use all coins, and then we're going to select matching coins. This should be use matching coins. Create a selection. Oh, you want the phone? You want everything, don't you?
The phone.
Yeah, you want the phone too, huh? Hey, buddy. Ah! All right. I'm going to kick you out again. You go to mommy, okay? You go to mommy. I love you, little boy. You are so cute. You're adorbsable. He's gonna sit there and just beg. He's pretty good at begging. Okay, so selected coins. Hey, buddy. Yeah, I hear you, buddy. All right, so use matching coins. We renamed that. Yes. To UTXOs, good. I kind of want to rename it from UTXO to coins, but I think coins should actually be reserved for the higher level, just like we have pub key hash and we have address. I think it should be UTXOs and coins. Well, that's what I just said. I just said instead of implementing a fee, you need to prune the ledger. So you can implement a fee on things that stay in the ledger. But that would be, so if you put something in the ledger and it remains unspent after some amount of time, or there's basically a charge for however many X blocks it remains on the ledger, there's a charge. And there could be something where there's two problems here. And I think that we could say for denominated coins that are greater than, say, 1, there's no charge. Just like with your bank account, there's no fee as long as you keep a balance. Right? So this is basically you are, if you're hodling, then there is somewhat of a reward for hodling. I mean, you could build staking right into the ledger too. You could say that if you have less than 10 dash, between 1 and 10 dash, no fee, nothing, right? It's just whatever. But if you just hodl 100 dash, then you earn interest. And if you hodl less than 1 dash, basically, let's say this would actually be a nice thing. So the fees could come from the coins that are being depleted and then go to the coins that are being held or something like that. Who will verify a transaction? The masternodes. What is that? That seems kind of unrelated. Who gets paid to verify? The masternodes. Yeah. But the problem is the masternodes. They really don't. They need to be providing real value, and not just holding money. I mean, holding money is real value. That's why we pay bank fees, right? The similar thing. So the masternodes are essentially a bank, right? They broker the money. Let's see, UTXOs. It's telling me because this doesn't exist, right? Use all coins. Return selection. Well, we don't want to return the selection here. What am I doing? Dag nabbit. I've done it again. Okay, let's get rid of this. All right, use matching coins. This does not need a handle. And let's see. Use matching coins. So this one doesn't need. There's a lot of things here this doesn't need. So we don't need allow reuse is no longer important for this. Handle is no longer important for this. I don't think the date or the stale time are any longer important for this. I think this has been drastically simplified. But, okay, so we do need to allow for outputs. And the outputs is going to be kind of like core UTXOs, I guess. But they're going to be... No. Outputs are just going to be... What is send info? Oh yeah, absolutely get rid of mining. Get it mining. So one thing people don't generally understand what Bitcoin was supposed to be, right? So before Bitcoin was taken over by VCs, actually, this would be a really good article you might want to look at. It's something like the resolution of the Bitcoin experiment. So this is one of the guys. I think this is back in 2016. Yeah, 2016. I think that I read this when it first came out, or another one that's similar to this. So basically, Bitcoin was taken over, and everything was bastardized and reappropriated, and it's just like absolute gaslighting, right? Absolute gaslighting. So mining was a bootstrapping step. Mining was not the plan. Mining was, how do we get the ball rolling with some sort of mechanism that rewards people for getting the ball rolling? So there needs to be some amount of effort that gets the ball rolling, and what do we do, for that? And so that's the goal, was not to have, to expend the electricity of Denmark in order to get 3 transactions per second. That was not the goal. That was that was part of the gaslighting. There. Yeah, okay, you know. Yeah. So mining is a terrible idea. It's absolutely horrendous. As a fun experiment for putting up a network of computers to play a guessing game against each other. It's cool. And the idea of mining actually comes from something else. So Hashcash does not originate from Bitcoin. Hashcash originates from email. So Hashcash was the idea of we can get, let's see if I can find, hashcash.org might be a good place to go. I think there's another one that's a little bit better. But this was the idea of how could we stamp email so that there's less spam. And the idea was, well, if you literally, if I need to send an email to you, I have basically infinite amount of processing power if I need to send an email to you within the next 10 seconds. I mean, I've got essentially infinite processing power. But a spam bot that's trying to send literally hundreds of thousands of emails, if you just delay each email by 1 second, if you make it so that they can only send one email per second or one email per 5 seconds, because they have to pay one way or the other. Either they have to pay for a more expensive server, or they have to pay in time. And so if you can basically say, in order for a spammer to spam, they have to make their computer unusable for the period of time that they're spamming. And during the time that it was come up with in the 90s, I mean, we were approaching the gigahertz limit, right? So there wasn't a wide spectrum of, oh, these devices are really powerful, and oh, these devices, they really suck. It wasn't a difference of, for you it might take milliseconds and for me it might take minutes. It was a difference of, for you it might take 3 seconds and for me it might take 7. Right? So back in that time period, hashing was more predictable because all computers were under the 1 gigahertz limit and most computers were over the 250 megahertz. And so that, it wasn't a huge difference. So at the time, in historical context, Hashcash made a lot of sense. But then CPUs started getting optimized, and now we have things where my $700 phone is literally 1,000 times more powerful for certain operations than your $99 laptop, right? So it like the scale of difference between what might take my computer milliseconds and what might take your computer minutes, so if it takes my computer milliseconds and we want to say the floor is 4 seconds, well, that might mean that now it's going to take 10 minutes. Okay, parse send info, and this returns send info, and I need to figure out what exactly is send info. So Satoshi's denom face value dust needed. Okay, use matching coins. Now we're calling it inputs. Okay, and we can get rid of, what can we get rid of to make this simpler? Outputs. So this one, okay. Use matching coins. Okay. So this one, but I want to, if we could get this, use matching coins. Okay, so this one, I want to get rid of account coins. Let me go back here to use matching. So get rid of handle, allow reuse, now stale time. So it should just be like this. Whoops. Satoshis. Okay. Parse UTX those infos. All right, let's lift this up. We kind of need to get out of the mindset of because it was done in the past, therefore it should be done in the future. Especially when we know the history of what happened with Bitcoin and how much subterfuge and gaslighting there was, right? I think this is a good analogy. The digital cash community, by and large, has Stockholm Syndrome. They're abusers that they tried to leave from the Bitcoin fiasco, they have now become lovers with. That is the problem. The digital cash community needs therapy to get over Stockholm Syndrome and to reevaluate and make choices to make digital cash great for the first time. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so I'm overloading the... I need coin. I don't know what Avalanche is. And I hate cryptocurrencies in general. I think they're retarded. I got into Dash through Ryan. Ryan took the time to explain to me what he sees as the potential and the benefit. And over a long course of time, I was converted to essentially his vision for the future of Dash, which is not necessarily everyone's vision for the future of Dash, but should be a daggone good baseline. So what incentivizes... So again, this is Stockholm Syndrome. After the block war rewards end in 2100, what incentivizes the masternodes to keep protecting the network? Okay, so this is Stockholm Syndrome for two reasons. One, we need to first make digital cash great. Okay, if digital cash is great, then the incentive structure is not hard to get right. That needs to be number one. Number two, you make a pull request and you change it from 2100 to 2200, or you change the block height, because all it is doing is it's got a hash and it's saying that it's going to keep on selecting the next hash, trying to get it to basically it's sub-selecting on a hash value and then replacing, I think it's the fixed numbers of zeros, right? And that this is a countdown ticker that it's going to increase in complexity until all the bits have turned to 0, and that's going to be in 2100. So, I mean, basically you just replace an if statement with a loop or with a different number. This is not a problem. This is Stockholm syndrome, because you're saying, well, because of a failed experiment in Bitcoin, we have to stick to digital cash community needs to not be Bitcoin maximalists. We're not competing against Bitcoin. We're competing against cash, right? It's digital cash. This is the sticking point. It's digital cash. It's got to be digital cash. It can't be Bitcoin's little brother. That's not what digital cash is meant to be. Or at least I as you can tell, very excitedly, firmly believe that's not what it should be. So this if by 2100 there is no functioning economy in Dash has no value other than speculative pump and dump, then it deserves to die. It doesn't need anything protecting the network. And when Evo doesn't solve this, because when Evo, you say we can't run a charity, what do you think Evo is? Evo is senselessly spending money and getting nothing in return. Like that, the idea that you're going to store information on 4,000 nodes and they're never going to get paid for that information for time and eternity is redonkulous. That just isn't going to work. If you wanted that to work, it would need to be a very substantial amount of money, and it still has to have a time limit, because we're not in back in the 90s, we were living in the golden age of rainbows and unicorns, where every year CPU speed was doubling, or every 18 months CPU speed was doubling and storage capacity was doubling. When is the last time storage capacity doubled? When's the last time that CPU speed doubled? CPU speeds have not changed since 2005? That's when we hit the 4 gigahertz processor, and now we are nearly 20 years later, and we're getting to a 5 gigahertz processor. Now, I know that's cheating a little bit because there's a lot of other efficiencies that have taken place. There's multiple cores, et cetera, et cetera. But my point is that we've hit the limit. Storage is not going to get cheaper. When you hit the limit of the atom, you can't go smaller than the atom. We can't store data in muons, right? So unless somebody figures out a way to store data in muons, we're done. We've reached the end. The S curve. It's not this curve that hockey sticks and goes up forever. It's a curve that hockey sticked for a good 10 years, and now the hockey stick's going in the other direction. It's an S curve. We've reached the end. Things are going to be incrementally better. Things are not going to get exponentially better. So you can't have this idea that, you can just pay once and storage is going to be cheaper in the future, so you can pay a tiny fee and then store data forever on 4,000 nodes. That doesn't make sense. There needs to be sharding. There needs to, it needs to be that a quorum of nodes stores data, and that just needs to be paid for. Anyway, increase the supply, we become the Fed Reserve. No, because you could increase the supply in a predictable way. But again, this is a problem that's 100 years out. There are other problems that are far more important. And the master nodes are not incentivized to do what they're doing with the rewards that they're getting right now from the mining stuff. And So it's like, it's so little. The value is so little. It's like it's paying for their servers, right? I mean, I'd have to go check and see what the actual value ends up being, but when you split that, we did the calculation on this, and it's not a whole lot, right? They're not getting rich running master nodes, and this makes sense because there's going to be an equilibrium, and that equilibrium is going to be slightly above the cost of running the node, right? So we could drive down the cost of running the node, and then we'd get a few more nodes. But we're driving up the cost of running the node. That's Evo is largely increasing the cost of running the node and not largely increasing the benefits. But again, it's going to equalize, and this was on that open talk. It's going to equalize. There's going to be an equalization, and the number of master nodes is going to be slightly equal to the reward and the basis of the cost of running the node. Run the printer machine. I don't know what you mean by Evo get fee equals longevity. Evo doesn't have longevity fees. Evo has one-time fees. Now they are not getting rich, but before they were, I mean, but you can't sustain people getting rich on the basis of nothing, right? I mean, there's always going to be people that can cheat the system. There's always going to be a handful of people that can get rich on nothing, that can sell air. But you can't have something that's sustainable that's based on lies, right? And so, and if it's open to anyone, then obviously anybody that can do the math is going to continue to do it until the math doesn't work. Anyway, this... All right, pair inputs to outputs. Pair inputs. Do we have this? So it's called send info. All right, that's fine. But send info, and this is outputs, and that's an array of send info, and that is just send info. Okay, so it's not an array of send infos. Although maybe it could be, should be, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So right now it's going not to be outputs, it's going to be output, and that's fine. So this is not going to be an array of send info. This is simply going to be send info, and then we're going to call that output, and so anyway, I don't know. This is stuff that's, it seems like some of it's really difficult to explain because it seems obvious, and that, the obvious things are the ones that are particularly difficult, but there has to be value that gets exchanged. The value needs to be in the stuff, not in the pump and dump. If the pump and dump is the only value, then there is no value. It's just people who are good at saying words that, it's just scammers. It's just scammers. The value has to ultimately be that digital cash has to be really easy to use, and it isn't. It is not easy to use. And you can't say, well, it's easy to use compared to Bitcoin. No one's using Bitcoin. No one cares about Bitcoin except for scammers. They're the only people that care about Bitcoin. And people that are faux investors. Okay, so I guess gambling is gambling an honest living? That's the question, right? If your gambling is really, really good, because it's not really gambling because you are, what do they call it, an advanced player, right? There are advanced players in the Bitcoin market who understand the human psychology and they understand the statistical analysis well enough that they can win. and they are just taking advantage of a broken system. They're not necessarily scammers. They are applying a skill in order to get their money, but they're basically getting what they're getting is at the expense of other people. They are playing a zero-sum game. They will win because you will lose. When you have an actual functioning economy, you have an infinite game, because you don't have to lose in order for me to win. We can both win if there's an actual economy with exchange, because I can sincerely want something more than you want it. And, or you can sincerely provide a capability that I'm willing to make in exchange. Whereas the pump and dump is, in order for someone to win, someone else must lose. That's the only way that someone can win, is if someone else loses. And that's not it's not sustainable. Once somebody wins everything, then they lose too, because the whole way that you win is by gaining over other people. But if you gain over all of the other people, then there's nothing left for you to gain, and then you lose, right? Okay, so we're going to change this to output, and then here's what you want. You want infinite supply. I don't necessarily want infinite supply. I think that the whole point of the miner reward is part of bootstrapping. There should not be a miner reward as such. That needs to come from somewhere else. And I'm not sure where it translates, but I think essentially it either needs to be like a bank account, where in order to hold money, you pay, which is kind of what I talked about, where old transactions get fees. Or it could be something like where, really what I want to see a transition to is services. We've got 4,000 computers. That's not a small number of computers. You could do some real work with 4,000 computers if you cluster them and partition them and shard them and run various services on them. You could have a independent, privately owned cloud that can compete against other cloud services on the basis of essentially being censorship resistant, right? And potentially other benefits, being more cost effective, because Google would not be able to compete with privately owned services. They're just, the price of publicly traded companies is too high once the investor pump runs out, right? So when you look at things like what a lot of these companies charge for monthly storage and stuff like that, it's ridiculous. So with 4,000 nodes, there is something there that could be used, that could be really valuable. And I think that you need to want to pay the nodes. The nodes can be trusted because they've been long-standing, because they're grandfathered in, right? And and you don't need to trust all the nodes, but you need to trust that as a group, the master nodes are available and they can hold stuff and don't go down. The problem is you don't have a lot of assurance of their diversity. And that's where I think that there's some weakness, because basically, what is it? Binance, if Binance pulls out, then the Dash network essentially collapses, because they have something like 2,000 master nodes, or maybe it's not Binance. I don't remember which one it is, but they have something approaching 50% of the network is my understanding. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think that there's a utopic solution, because you're dealing with people. It's not a mathematical equation that can work out perfectly, but we can get better. And I think we need to focus more on being really good rather than being perfect for something that's past our lifetimes that we can't define. Because in reality, you're not going to be able to get storage past your lifetime. That's just not going to happen. At least not the storage that you want. Not storage on demand. Okay, where's this output? Okay, so there's outputs there. And what is this? So inputs, Satoshis, denominate outputs. Okay, what is this one about? I think I did something wrong here. I think I double named output. Okay, and where did this come from? Okay, did I screw this up? I don't think I screwed this one up. I think I just got here because I was looking for it. So, fast transactions, yes. No fees. Not, okay, here's the thing. No transaction fees. I don't want there to be no fees because I already referenced, I think that there should be a fee for money that stays in the ledger. It's not that I believe there needs to be no fees. It needs to be that there's no transaction fees. That's where I don't want the fees to be, because the transaction fees are difficult to calculate and they lend themselves towards all of these concerns about bad actors. You're looking at the chain and trying to manipulate what's the right way to say this? Oops, there we go. But Dave, I am so glad we're having this conversation. Nice and lively. I appreciate you going head to head with me on this. Okay, send. Okay, I don't need to fix this right now. Okay, I don't think that needs this either. There we go. Okay, Satoshi's denom output. Okay, and I definitely need... This is the wrong thing. So this should not be... Where did it go? Alright, so I'm not sure what this should be an array of. But what I had there was not it. Okay, TX output maybe. I don't know. All right, I'm going to leave that one alone for now. All right, come back over here. We're going to get this thing done. Okay, use all coins, select coins, break change. And then here, I want to get this simpler. We can get it simpler by getting rid of, let's see, we could just call that output, not outputs. I think that could be okay. LinkedIn sent me an email saying, AJ, you're on a roll. I haven't been on LinkedIn in probably a couple of months. How could I possibly be on a roll? A roll of what? No, I was on LinkedIn recently because I logged in to change my email because I'm getting off of Le Google. Okay. All right, there we go. Now this is starting to look a lot better. Selected coins. We need to do this. There we go. That looks a lot better now. Okay, that starts to look really good. Let's see if this thing still runs. It may not. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Okay, 1201. Okay, I'm a little bit surprised. Okay. This is where this is a little frustrating. Maybe that. I don't like it. I just... Okay. Oh, I got a phone call I need to take real quick. All right. That was a call about the data center. Things are looking good to get stuff in over the weekend. Let's see. All right. So now we're back to the same place we were at before, but just a little bit better. So we're back to the selection. The complexity of the logic has moved out here, which I think is quite right. Thought it was an Evo call. Yeah. Oh, dude. You're busting my Satoshis. I want to get rid of this from here. I don't like if statements to be more than one statement, but I don't know how else to do this. Yeah, okay, we're gonna leave that one alone. I mean, if I had, yeah, I can abstract that. That's what I need to do. I can abstract it, and then I can do an if return, and then I can do, yeah, that's what I need to do. Is I need to abstract it just a tiny bit. All right. Anyway, so we got our selection. Now we need to actually make the freaking transaction. I don't know how I got so off track on this, but we're pretty much there now. So we've got the inputs. I don't really need to worry about all of this stuff. All this dirty input stuff is I'm probably going to revert a lot of this file back to what it was before all these whips. I'm going to probably make a separate branch. Once I get this working, I think I'm going to make a separate branch and then rework some of this stuff so that I have the prior behavior is exactly the way that it was before without any changes. And then this new behavior is going to be separate so that it comes through cleanly. Okay. So has changed. I don't need to worry about this. So this is all the wallet addresses. Okay. So this is where the count comes into play. And I'm not exactly sure how to solve the problem yet. See, that's next wallet addresses. Allow reuse. I'm going to go with no on that. And there will need, I'm not going to worry about this right now because it's not something that I need right now. I think the only time that you have to pay a very specific amount is if you're using the JSON payment protocol. And we don't do that correctly yet anyway, so I think that just swapping this out to have the cache-like send to be the default is not going to do any harm, and then we'll come back and we'll re-add. But I'm not even going to do that. I mean, I'm just going to get this thing to the point where it works, and I'm going to move on to the next project because I need to personally just to. I mean, this is good. I could keep on working on this, and I'm happy working on this. I'm not dreading this, like where I got to the point in the coin selection where I was just ripping my hair out. I don't know what to do. There's not a perfect solution, and all of the compromise solutions just seem meh. But still, okay. So get next pay adders. Where are the send with fingerprint? Okay, can't get next pay adders. So this is count equals 1. Get next pay adders. What about do we have get next change? Okay, we do have get next change adders. All right, so what I need to get out of this, and let me look at this again. So this is where my problem is that what I need to get out of this is what of this is change versus what of this is being sent. Because if I'm looking at this, there's a specific amount that I'm trying to pay. And then that's not the amount that I'm getting back. So you look here, here's the face value. And then there's the output value. And so basically I just need to loop over the output and I need to capture the denominations. So let's do that real quick. So once I get the selection, and the selection, is it called output? It is called output. Okay. So there's my original output. And I don't know what other way to do this right now. So we're just going to have to go, well, can I get this out of here? So use matching will always be correct. I think I just need to split it at this point. So use matching. Let's see. What do the stamps per coin is going to be the same. So basically I need to bring the value back around. Yeah. Okay. Change. All right, so when I pair the inputs to the outputs, the change should not be null. The change should kind of be a copy of denom info. But, okay, so we're not going to do this. All right. No. I already decided this is not the right place for this to go. All right. No, we're gonna deal with it at the higher level. It's gonna be fine. Okay, let's go back over here. All right, so the way that I need to deal with this is I already sent in what outputs I wanted. And so then I just need to change this up. Let's see. U.S. Chamber of Commerce has just filed a brief in the Coinbase versus SEC case calling out the SEC for acting unlawfully in the digital asset space. That's great. That sounds good. Yeah. A lot of bad actors out there. Seriously, we really do need to bring back the death penalty for treason. The concern would be political witch hunts. But I mean, I think it's too corrupt. I think it's kind of too corrupt to fix. I think the what do you call this? The canary with this was the Epstein Island, right? If they had gone through and gotten rid of half the U.S. senators that are fans of the playground, who had gone to fan of the playground island with Epstein, that would have been a good signal and a turning point. But the fact that so many of our presidents and senators and whatnot are fans of the playground, that it's not feasible to prosecute them, is a we may be beyond repair. I don't know what kind of cataclysmic event could get us back on course. Because at the point where you have an island and a book detailing all the people who visit it, and one of the assistant is criminally charged, but the people visiting the island aren't investigated. All right, so we do need... All right, the reason that I needed to separate these is simply because, and I think, yeah, okay. So let me go back to this parse send info. And where is our send info defined? Somewhere. It's defined somewhere. Definitely was defined. Oh, there it is. Nope, not there. Here. I guess this is frustrating. Do I put that down there? I just need to get these tagged somehow. So selection.output.denoms. For let denom, whoops. Uh-oh. What is going on with my network? It's been doing so well. And I haven't changed anything in a couple days. Not a couple days. In a day. Several hours for sure. So why... I'm going to run a speed test real quick. Frames may drop. Okay. Speed test ran perfectly. Why is my connection all... I wonder if it's on the restream side. But I'm using 4% of the CPU. And there's just a big flurry of frames dropping. But when I look at the test results, I'm getting perfect. I mean, my upload is perfect and my download is perfect. So I don't know what's going on. Oh well. And then I need to get... output. Okay. No, there's not going to be any change because okay, I need to invert this. So this one is going to be all of the outputs, period. So what I need to do is I'm going to need to do that's weird. Get next change enters. Isn't that just always going to be main? I think that's just always going to be main. Get next xpriv adders index offset addresses receive adders next wallet adders. And are these just, I think this is just flat out string. Yes. Addresses. Okay, so David, what are you up to? What are you doing right now? Inquiring minds want to know. Everybody's asking. I don't know if you see it up in the chat, but it's just like question after question after question. What's Dave up to right now? What's Dave up to? It's like an invisible ink, but it's totally there. Okay, that's stupid. Never mind. I'm working right now. I'm an internal auditor, also patiently waiting for Evo. Oh. Okay, count all alvals.length. Addresses. I don't remember why we need the index on these. Okay, out val. What does an internal auditor do? Is that you're in accounting? Is that what you're? Is that what do you audit? Okay. Okay. Yeah, this little bit I'm putting it in the wrong place right now, but this little bit should be in the wallet library, and the other bits should move to the transaction library that are kind of beneath this, and then this should be. Oh. All right, to do. If handle is a single address, if the payment can't be made cleanly, first break change. Okay, and this, another to do. Alright, don't allow mix and match of xpub send and the other send. So handle okay, so we should be able to make payments to multiple pays at the same time, unless it's doing a dirty send, in which case, if it's doing a dirty send / fingerprint send, then it should not allow mixing, because that's just rude. If somebody has done the politeness of giving an xpub to you, it would be very rude to mix in payments to them with payments to things that require fingerprinting, which is the current default. There are so many small wins. There's so many small wins. So many things that if we just make a change here, a change there, a change here, a change there, I mean, we can get, and a lot of them are backwards compatible in such a way that as they get adopted, if it gets adopted in the iOS app but not in the Android app, it's no big deal, right? If it gets adopted in Dash Core but not in iOS, well, then it doesn't matter because that's not helpful. But if it gets adopted in iOS but not adopted in Dash Core, it doesn't matter, right? The thing is, we have these small wins, these small changes that we can make. And if we just make them anywhere that they're used, there's a small benefit. But when we get over that 50% hump is when it starts to be real benefit. The thing, though, is, and this actually could be really encouraging, is that if these methods of sending get adopted on the iOS and Android apps, then it will really push the Dash Core people into wanting to get, hopefully, theirs updated as well, because the iOS and Android people don't know that all of their transactions are fingerprinted, generally speaking. And the people who understand that fingerprinted transactions are the default and are using the, so-called CoinJoin, well, I guess that's not so-called, that is what it is, using CoinJoin, thinking that they're getting, some degree of privacy or, again, it's like the problem is over here and let's put a Band-Aid on the knife wound rather than addressing the fact that someone is stabbing people, but that said, it would, I think it would be a huge push if we started on the mobile phones. I think it would be a huge push. Well, I mean, even if we just need to start with being able to share contacts. Just the web stuff is great. But anyway, at some point we can get to where things are moving, and even Dash Core could and should get updated so that it is not sending fingerprinted transactions by default, but instead sending normal digital cash transactions by default. So, and maybe, I don't know, the function name, maybe it should be send cash or send digital cash. Let's see. Especially consumer compliance. Ironically, I work for a bank. I won't disclose which one. Good, because otherwise I'd repeat it and tell everybody and broadcast it and tweet about it. We make sure that regulations are being followed by our lines of business. Example, e-sign act. I don't know what that means, but it sounds terrible. I'm guessing if it's called the e-sign act, it's something that is like making sure that things are not actually signed, but that there are heavy fees on normal people's money. It's like the Inflation Reduction Act Don't do anything about inflation, more taxes. Or the Patriot Act. Don't be patriotic, call everyone a terrorist. Strip away the rights of the citizens. Well, yeah, obviously, yes, e-sign, electronic signature. I did get that. What I mean is I don't know what the e-sign act means in terms of, is it like the cookie policy where, just here's one more banner to throw up. Do you consent to clicking the button? Click the button to consent to clicking buttons to click buttons to consent. If you don't consent to clicking buttons for consenting, then don't click any buttons. Or click cancel and then don't click it again. Being a little over dramatic, maybe. No, just the right amount of dramatic. Okay, so we've got this one. Okay, is anything else about this used except for the denoms? I don't think so. All right, piece, handle, output. Okay. So I got it nail on the hammer. Click the button to allow clicking the button to consent to clicking buttons. So that seems, see, the funny thing about that is much like, no, the thing I hate most about the cookie policies, is that you have to use cookies in order to save whether or not the person has clicked yes or no on the cookie policy. And I find that quite often I click the cookie policy, the way they implement it, it's like through a third-party service or whatever. And so it's a tracking cookie. So, I mean, this is the great irony of the cookie policies, is that most of the cookie policies are tracked with tracking cookies that are not first-party cookies, but third-party cookies. So just by the very fact that they outsource the cookie thingy, they're violating the cookie policy, and you don't need the cookie policy anyway because your browser enforces that stuff. There was, like a weekend when there was like a weekend in between the time where the EU decided it was a problem and browsers hadn't decided that it was a problem, right? And so now we have all of this cookie policy crap for a problem that literally doesn't exist, except that I'm always getting these cookie pop-up prompts because the cookie pop-up prompts are hosted on a third-party service that requires third-party cookies that can't store that I've allowed the cookies, even though allowing the cookies doesn't do anything because third-party cookies are disabled by default in all major browsers. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. There is a legacy browser that is a major browser that I think still doesn't have that. So Safari, Firefox, and Brave all have the default cookie policy is block third-party cookies. Google, being that their entire business model is founded on third-party cookies, is somewhat reluctant to let that one go. So all right, so we got the payouts. I hear you say that it's not the most exciting job. Okay, and what's the other value that we need to watch out for here? Satoshis, denoms. Okay, so here All right, have a good one. All right, I'm getting close. Okay, this could not work. In this scenario. No, that can't work. Okay, so I'm just prototyping this out then, which is fine. Okay. All right, good. So this also provides more reason for that this function really was supposed to be separate and needs to be actually further separated. No, this is the original out vowels. Wait. This is supposed to be... We can make this work. When Evo to the moon indeed. All right, let pay. So now we're building the transaction outputs. Again, I wasn't planning to do the whole multiple person payment thing, but I'm here. Payee of payees. For each output. Shift. Okay, this is not quite right. So here's all of the out values. And then we're just going to be subtracting each of the out values in turn from the list, or removing it from the list, until only the change is left over. Do we have a... I don't think we have a remove function yet. I think we have like a find and find index. But we still don't have a remove. Find last. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? It's just insane. We still don't have a way to do remove. All right, but we can use find index, so we'll use find index. Or maybe we'd actually just use index of here. Okay, index of. All right, so we're going to splice, add the index 1, right? Or is it splice 1 at the index? Why was this thought to be useful? And why do we still not have a remove? Can someone please explain to me why we still don't have a remove? How do we have a splice, which is the weirdest thing ever, and only useful because it happens to be able to remove, and we still don't have a remove? Okay. All right, let's see about... stale time. So now stale time. Okay. All right. So now we've paired up the contacts addresses for all contacts in the payment with all the outputs. All right, leftovers are change. Oh, it's a good thing I did that impossibility check because I had the wrong value out. Okay. Alright, so now, if I'm not mistaken, I have all the inputs, all the outputs. Let's just see what this function did here. Must select, yada, yada, yada. And now we're at the tx.create, right? tx info raw. And then this little key function here. Hmm. Oh, whoops. Where did I create the dash TX? Right. Oh, okay. That's a different one. Okay, cool. All right, here it is. And then I'm going to take a break. Are y'all ready for this? Huh? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? How about now? How about now? How about now? Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be selection.inputs. All right, let's try it out. Boom. Ah. Yes. Oh, 6, 7. 891. Let's find out where this is. That's weird. Handle. 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 I'm going to move this on the other screen real quick to test it out and see what happens. Interesting. For some reason, the John Doe account can't be found. Seems like it should be. Comes up empty. Oh, because the handle didn't go through. Did I do this right? Send handle amount. Okay, so something went wrong here. Ah. I see where that went wrong. Alright, we can get rid of that. Cannot read properties of undefined reading phrase. Oh, is this because I screwed up my main wallet on this one? I think it is. Here's what we'll do to fix that. Yeah, because I think I still haven't fixed that problem. I identified that problem, but I can't use my main wallet for change right now. So we're going to do change account. Okay, so that should be taken care of. Oops. All right. Every output must have satoshis. So then I'm missing let's take a look at this tx info raw. Just console.log that right on out. Because core output Satoshis. Okay, good. Core output Satoshis. Did I spell anything wrong? Might be a nan or something. Ooh. Maybe selection.output maybe? Oh, we're actually going to need... we need to do this a little differently. Well, okay. So there is a to-do that needs to be to-done. But I think I'll save this for next time. To-do xxx. This is going to be... Okay. Because we have the output of the stamps per coin, but we need to basically take the leftover dust after all of the... once the dust has settled, and then spread that among them as well. Okay, dash tx. Why does dash tx need this? It's just outdated already. Okay. So this should be using dash keys. Okay. So for the purposes of getting this working right now, we're going to throw that in there. But, well, we need to go update. Once we get this all working, then would be the time to go back and update the dash tx library and then update this library. All right. Version is undefined. So let's put this in the decoder and see if it looks like a valid transaction. Or you just try sending it. All right, looks good. So we still need to randomize. So let's see if we have a sort here. Does this one? No. And this random sort, this should be down at the TX level. That also should not be up here. Well, that's a tough one. Actually, this kind of has to be. It has to be at this level because. Well, does it have to be? Yeah, we'll figure it out. Hash and sign all. For the sake of predictability, it feels like I'm not really sure where they, because we don't want it to, we don't want accidents. So before they go in for any sort of signing, partial or otherwise, everything needs to be randomized. I think what we would need to do in this case would be randomize false. Or rather, randomized true. Yeah, for the purposes of testing, you don't want to have to deal with random values, but for the purpose of implementation, you want it to be randomized. Okay, addresses, great. All right, cool. Well, that's good enough for a whip and a break. Dry run achieved. Okay, so now the next thing is going to be to walk this back. So we need to have the most complex scenario, which is that I'm sending payments to multiple parties. And we need to walk that back to I'm sending specific coins to one party. And then we need to walk that back to I'm sending a payment to a specific address. And that's the one that. So the what I just mentioned just is a logic change. If there's multiple people, then throw an error if there's not an amount, and if there. Yeah, that should be good. Yeah, the layering on this worked out really well. I'm glad. I mean, the time. It's quite a bit of time, but I'm glad that I arrived at these conclusions. The layering is correct. It's kind of convoluted to have to do all of that pairing once again, but this really is the right way to do it. Is you figure out what all the amounts are, figure out what the denominations to the individual people need to be, prep all of that, put it together, put it through the pipeline, get back what all of the denominations are, and then you should have all of the original denominations and then possibly some change. There does need to be some sort of marker for whether or not there's change so you can quickly fail things that require change. Let's see. If something requires change, what does that mean? That's something that requires a little bit of thinking that I don't want to do right now. All right, so we can fail transactions that require change, and okay, but we don't need to do that now. But if a transaction needs to go to a single address and there's not change for it, we need to fail it. We need to get the change. So yeah, so we still have to figure out that scenario. So basically, we need to reverse from why was there change? What was missing? And then supply the missing piece. Okay, anyway, time for me to go. I think I'll be back tonight. We shall see. No, I have to have an early morning tomorrow, so I may not be back tonight. This might be it for tonight. In any case, thanks for tuning in. Is anybody on Twitch? If there's somebody on Twitch, then I will raid. I think that everybody's on YouTube. So let me check and see. Can I see? Oh, no, that's not what I needed. Let me go grab here. Let me see who's on Twitch. And if we have some people on Twitch, then I'll raid. Otherwise, I'm out. Nope. Not on Twitch. Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the conversation, especially Dave. Even though I got my blood boiling a little bit. I don't exactly know why. I just remember it's easy to get my blood boiling. That's no achievement. Anyway, but I was frustrated about something or other about the something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So it's time to go. Thanks for tuning in. I will catch you later. If I can figure out where my little doodad is. Adios.